Okay, we're now recording. We missed a couple of announcements. Uh, uh, Siri is doing uh, some topics, some trendings that she announced, and so is Gabrielle, etc. And I am now about to uh, do a 5 or 10 minute little thing on self-image, which is a topic that almost everyone deals with. I like to say everyone, but I think it is everyone, but some are more aware of it than others. Now, self-image is a great, big, broad topic. It's got several names for it. I'm not good enough. I'm shy. I don't count, and so on. I was abused as a child, so I'm like a turtle with my head in the shell, and all. So, as the broad image, the self-image covers that general topic. Now, our process, for those of you who are really into it and want to do it well, can really help you a long way for that to elevate your self-image, elevate how you feel about yourself. And the way to do that, although I'm going to discuss another way shortly, the way to do that is to go ahead and find the specific events in your life, times when you're rejected, abused, belittled, and so forth, that tend to give you the idea that you're not good enough and your self-image isn't up there and I don't feel good about myself and so on. If you do those well and really well, little by little, those specific events that were so bothersome and contributed so strongly to your self-image or your poor self-image will start to fade and your image gradually elevates. Okay, but there's another way, and I want to talk about this. I'm going to put it under the general heading of measurement. That may seem strange, but let me tell you what I mean by that. In our various cultures around the world, we are given measures by which we can tell ourselves whether or not we are good enough, whether or not we have a self-image. Some of those measurements you're familiar with from the television set. You ladies have to really look beautiful and have the hourglass figure and the right cosmetics to be attractive, to wear the right kind of clothes. Because you wear the right kind of clothes, well, your self-image elevates, or so it seems, okay? For the men, you get to be some form of Superman. Go to the gym, big muscles, all of that. Be a titan in business, get that promotion. These are all measures by which the culture tells us what it is that we have to measure up against in order to have a good self-image. They don't say it that way, but that's the essence of how it is. Now, I don't think that's true at all. We tend to obey those measures, those cultural edicts. But I want to tell you a personal story. Some of you have heard parts of this. Some of you have not heard any of it. But it relates to this measurement idea. When I was a youngster, I look back at it now. I really needed to be somebody, to have a good self-image, to live up to the cultural ideals of other people. And that's the important part. I'm trying to live up to the ideals of other people. And I was young, and so I was given these ideals. And one of those ideals was to do well in something. And in my case, it was sports. I had some talent in sports. But I went way overboard. Oh, did I go overboard? I was so involved in all of that that I used to get a hold of 15 or 20 baseballs, and I'd go to a big lot and I'd pick up those baseballs and hit them with a bat as far as I could. Then I'd go chase them and hit them back. I'd go chase them and hit them back. Go chase them and hit them back. I did that hours on end. I um, I wanted to be faster and faster and faster as a runner. And so I would run up very steep hills. I would beat my body to death to do that. And I would elevate myself so I was among the better in my grade school and junior high um, and so on. And all of that was working for me because I got admiration from, important concept, from outside myself. I'm looking for measures that are outside myself. Very important concept, outside myself. I want other people to admire me. I want other people to look up to me. I want other people to laugh at my jokes. I want to be popular. I want to be the best athlete in the country and all this stuff. So says I as a very young teenager and so on growing up. And so I did. I succeeded really heavily. I was named the outstanding football player in the state of California for high school in the whole state of California, 22 colleges and so on. So I was doing what the cultural measurement, the one that I was good at, sports. I was really doing it. Cultural measurement. Yes, yes, Gary is good, so on. I feel good about myself. And if you ask me in those days, do I feel good about myself? Well, sure. My name wasn't just in the paper, it was in the headlines every time I stepped on the sports field and so on. Okay. Now, time went on. And I got a few awards and all the kind of stuff that you do when you're trying to live up to somebody else's ideals outside of yourself. You're trying to get somebody else to love you, somebody else to admire you. You're trying to get it from somebody else. Somebody else. If they don't do it, if those out there don't really line up for you and give you your self-image, well, your self-image starts to fade, or you don't have a self-image to begin with, and so on, because you didn't match the criteria outside yourself that is given to you. Okay. So some of you have heard that story, some have not. But there's another story, a side story to that. I can remember when I was 14, 15 years old. We lived way out in the country. I had two dogs, Joe and Sam. And Joe was kind of my favorite. Really liked Joe. Joe and I were buddies, really good. And Joe had a tail about this long, and a wagon. And we lived in the country, and he would run around the sagebrush and tumbleweed and everything else, and he would collect little burrs in the hairy tail of his, and he had hundreds of these things in his tail, and it was uncomfortable for him. So one day, as a teenager, Joe and he laid down on my front lawn, and I sat down with him, and I very painstakingly removed those burrs and little things he collected in his tail that were hurting him and bothering him. And he would lay there very quietly, even though I'd hurt him sometimes as I pulled them out. I'd pull the hair in his tail and go. But he and I had this moment. It took an hour or two to do all that, okay? He and I had this moment. And I still remember that moment. I remember all the moments of the headlines in the paper, but somehow all those headlines and those other things, they tend to take on, now that I'm older looking back, they seem kind of artificial. They were artificial. They were me trying to live up to the ideals of other people so I could feel good about myself. That was the essence of the story, okay? But with Joe, there were no headlines. The sports writer didn't come and say, "Oh, look what Gary did with his dog's tail." You know, never happened. Never happened. Uh, but I knew it. I knew it. It was something I did in loving nature for somebody else. In this case, a dog. But that is something I gotta get it. Hold on. That is not artificial. That's not me living up to the ideals of somebody outside myself. That's a message to me about my own self-image that doesn't match anybody's outside. I'm not. I'll get it sooner or later. That event said more to me about my self-image than all the ideals I would try to match in the outside world by the outside ideals. I want to give you one more story like that. It's with a young boy. His name was Ricky Bodel. And when I was in my heyday, high school, 17, 18, the big athlete and all that, Ricky Bodel, and I don't remember how this happened, but he and I'd never seen him before. Somehow or other, he came up to me, and he was a very insecure kid. But he was talking to his idol. You would think he was talking to Muhammad Ali or something like that, you know, but he was talking to his idol. And he would stutter. My name is Ricky Bodo. Okay. And I recognized how insecure he was 12 years old. I was 17 or 18. And here was a kid insecure, very insecure. He was a little league baseball player and wanted to ask me my views on how to field a ball and hit a baseball and stuff like that. In a way, I was his hero. Okay. But I didn't see it really that way. It was a big ego thing for me. I recognized that this kid needed help. And I was someone that he was looking towards for help. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. So I sat down. For about an hour. I forgot how long. And we talked and we talked. And by the way, his stuttering tended to get less and less and less as we talked. Okay. So there were no sports writers around to make headlines in the newspapers. No photographs. Nobody knew about that except Ricky Bodel. um, and made. But that did more for my self-image than all the headlines in the world, all the trying to match the outside world's ideals. Okay. I'm sorry I got all this crying done. Ever since my stroke, I've been a lot rawer. And I cry a lot more easily than I used to. Less arrogant, less arrogant, I think. So, anyway, I give you that as a really simple way. Do something for somebody else. Don't match somebody else's ideals. Uh, don't be the glad hander that everybody likes your jokes at a party. And that's living to somebody else's ideal. Do something for somebody else. The world is in need of help. Does somebody you know just need listening to? Go listen to them. Does somebody need help with something and you happen to have the ability to help them with it? Go help them with it. Um, there's a category of these things called random acts of kindness. I tend to call them pursuits of personal peace because the more you do that, the more you help someone else in the simplest of ways, the more you say to yourself, I'm helpful. I did something for somebody else. I feel better about myself. That is so easy and so simple to do. You can go to the website, look up random acts of kindness, put that into Google, and you'll find all kinds of lists of things you can do uh, for other people just to give you ideas. But that will do more for your self-image than all the cosmetics you can buy, or all the weight you can lift, or all the promotions you can get, and or whatever else is somebody else's ideal. Anyway, sorry for all the emotion. It took too much time. Um, Gabrielle and Siri, do you have any comments on that? Does somebody else want to raise your hand and comment on that? Um, if so, go ahead.
Well, Gary, you probably know that although your words are beautiful, uh, your greatest teaching just now was the expression of that intense emotion, that intense love, because that's really who we are, and that's who you are, regardless of what you were physically doing for your dog or for Ricky. What we just saw, the expression of that intense love, that's who we are. And so we often don't think of that. We, as you say, we're looking out there for something to make us bigger, stronger, or more complete. But as you've said so often, there isn't anything out there. There's no out there. It's all in here. And your wisdom to do something for someone else, that is so amazing. I have said that, thought that for so long. When you are doing something nice for someone, you're helping someone, it's real hard to go to bed at night with low self esteem. If you want to really feel and get in touch with who you are, that's it. Do something nice for someone else. There are lots of people that do that every day, and I seriously doubt when they put their head on the pillow at night that they feel very little about themselves. So thank you so much for those wonderful stories and also for that loving expression that came out and was ready to come out. So a healing for us all. When I listen to what you say, of course, I go into that spiritual mode. Um, That's who I am. That's what I do. And so I will quote A Course in Miracles that says, seek not outside yourself. There is nothing outside ourself. And the fact that we're looking out there for something to make us feel better in here implies that we're not good enough now. It implies we're not whole now. And so that's, of course, what the ego wants us to, its maxim is seek but do not find, because we won't find anything out there. We don't need to be completed. We're already completed. The love inside of us is our completion. God created us complete. And so that endless searching out there isn't going to bring us anything. But what a wonderful exercise promoted by the ego, because as long as we're out there searching for something that we cannot find, uh, we're never going to feel like we're good enough or whole enough. So that's its strategy. Keep us focused on what we perceive to be limitations and imperfections. And so we stay focused on the body. Who among us doesn't have at least something? I don't know if I've ever met anybody, even so called perfect models. They have a list of things they don't like about themselves. And when we look at them, they look pretty darn perfect to me, but they don't think so. Uh, we're not attractive enough. We're not tall enough. We don't have enough hair. We have too much hair. We're not smart enough. We're not healthy enough. Basically, it doesn't really matter what your thing is. According to the ego, we're just not enough. And the body's vulnerability and its imperfections, perceived imperfections and limitations, is the ego's best argument that we can't be of God. Look how imperfect you are. You're not good enough as you are right now. So you cannot possibly be of God. That's the ego's favorite advice, to keep us preoccupied with problems that aren't problems, that are incapable of solutions, because that impedes our learning. It is really hard to sit in quiet contemplation if my back hurts. So it's a wonderful way to distract the heck out of me. There's always something wrong that needs to be fixed, something that hurts, something that's in pain. And so it's easy to fall into that trap, that that's who we are. But remember the truth. This is not who you are. It's not your true identity. Who you see in the bathroom mirror every morning is not you. You are not a body. You are an infinite spirit created by God, and you were created in perfection. There's nothing at all missing in you, nothing wrong with you. We may have certain physical things and limitations that we are dealing with that may help us in some way, may help raise our awareness of something. And so it's there for a reason. We don't need to fight it and try to make it go away and be preoccupied with it. That's our true self, is the love inside our mind. And Gary, you showed us who your true self is by
Well,
expressing the love inside your mind.
I would point out there that well, there is no out there. There appears to be an out there, okay? And all the other bodies, if you really think about it, all the other bodies that you know, your friends, your relatives, etc., are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to measure up to the same cultural thing. They're trying to get admiration and whatever from you. Well, you are trying to get it from them, and you're all looking for it outside out there, and they're all trying to do it and get it from each other. And it's so easy just to go help somebody.
And that's the true admiration. We compare each other's bodies. Your body's better than my body and healthier than my body, and body. When really the true admiration is who you are and the expression of that love, which is who you are. That's the real admiration, not because you bought enough cosmetics and ran enough miles to put forth a so-called perfect body, but you're not a very nice person and you don't help anybody. We got things a little upside down here as to what we admire in life.
Okay. Gabrielle, do you have any
Indeed.
comments?
Yes, it was a it was lovely to see all the chats, but you probably haven't seen because I think your view is on speaker view. There were tons actually of little hearts floating
Oh,
through the screen.
I did see them. I have a thing.
Oh,
I have a
good,
practitioner
excellent.
list, and it showed there. Go ahead.
Excellent. No, and so I just wanted to point out that if you do feel, fall into this trap that you really have low self-esteem or you're really concerned about, what others people think of you, in EFT land, we tend to call this your negative core belief. And so if you want to work on that with EFT, you might want to look at lesson number 5, which explains how the negative core belief arises, how it starts as a stress pattern in your life. The best way, if you feel triggered into, in many moments where you really feel, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not worth it. The best way to work on that is to do it several times a day and really work in the exact moment where, these thoughts are triggered. But something happens, somebody says something, whatever happens, if you react with a negative emotion towards yourself, thinking I'm not good enough, or they are rejecting me, or I'm not lovable, or they don't like me, or whatever the negative self-talk is, take a moment to do a meditation and ask unseen therapists help to really resolve this nasty self-talk, because it really is your ego trying to fool you into believing you're not good enough, and it's very convincing, as Sherry just pointed out. So the best way to really help yourself in that respect is to be very vigilant. The moment your ego tries to make you believe that you're not good enough, make sure you understand, what is this moment? What is happening here? What am I thinking? What are other people saying? And treat it as a specific moment. The more you do that, the easier it is to stay out of the grip of your ego. I just wanted to add that one as a practical tip.
Okay, good. Well, it's time now, past time actually, for us to hear from our audience with questions or topics or anything. Let me see if I can get to the topic.
Gabrielle, there's a question on the chat that might be for you.
Yes.
How can I help my wife who has advanced glaucoma? I sense there's a link between stress-induced high blood pressure and increased eye pressure.
Yes. So I always like to look at the body as if it is a metaphor. So if somebody has problems with their eyes, in this case with glaucoma, it is my experience that it is a good idea to look at what are visual stressful situations for your wife in this situation. Um, Specific moments where visual things are very stressful for your wife play a role in the development of glaucoma. It's a bit, I think, complicated. I do it in my free introductory workshop, but the glaucoma as such points out that your wife is actually healing from visual conflicts, but you want to stop the stress pattern. So if you want to help your wife with EFT, sit down together and identify what are the exact specific moments where seeing something is very stressful. Work on those first. Apart from that, also work on any stress or any worries you and your wife have about the symptom, because that tends to make it chronic. If you're very worried about a symptom, if you're very stressed out about a symptom, that usually makes it chronic. And every time you talk about it, or every time somebody asks, and how are your eyes, or whatever else, those are specific moments where you're triggered and stressed because you have glaucoma. So those would be the two situations that I would work on first. Very intense visual situations where your wife sees something that she really doesn't want to see. And the other one is the emotions about the symptoms. That would be my advice.
Okay, great. I don't see any raised hands. Is there anything else in the chat box, or are we done for the day?
I don't see anything else in the chat box at the moment.
Well, I hate to cut this so short if nobody has any questions or any topics. I can't imagine that really being the case. But if it is the case, we'll give 10 seconds. How's that?
Well,
10.
I can say something while people are formulating their questions. When we talk about the body, I'm not a body. The Course says, I'm not a body, I am free. Now, that does not mean we do not pay attention at all to the body. The Course says, you think you're in the physical world, you think you're in a body, and if you think that, it's almost impossible to live in this physical, illusory world without paying any attention to the body. And it even suggests it's not a great idea not to. So what I find is when I pay attention to my body, like, with good nutrition and with exercise, I make sure I get a lot of sleep. When I kind of do what I need to do for the health of my body, the body is peaceful. It doesn't holler out at me. Things tend not to go wrong. And then I don't have to think about my body. The better I take care of it, the less I have to think about it. Does that make sense? If I ignore the body, well, I'm not a body, so I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to eat a bowl of sugar every day and smoke cigarettes. Then the body will kind of let you know that's not a great thing. And then you have to think more about the body than you really want to. So I want to make sure that that point is clear, that just because we think we have this body doesn't mean we ignore it and don't give it what it needs. And when we do, we take care of ourselves, then that's, at least for me, then I get to think less about my body than I normally would. I hope that makes sense. Sounds a little strange.
Oh, we have a raised hand. My goodness. So the raised hand is from Virginia. Okay, let me call on you, Virginia. Hold on a second. Mute? No. Say something.
Hello.
Oh, you're there. Okay. It's been so long, I forgot how to do these controls and so on. So go ahead, Virginia.
Hello, Gary. Hello, everybody. Thank you for sharing your story. I just thought of one question since nobody was asking. I love your sharing the story when you helped your friend and you connected with love, and you said his stammering improved.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask whether maybe it was a way of connecting with unseen therapists without knowing, because you weren't doing OEFT at that point. And maybe the love, helped with the healing. I don't know. I was just wanted to hear your thoughts.
I think, well, I didn't know the name unseen therapist at my age, 17 or 18 years old. I didn't, didn't occur to me. And I had no concept of what God was. I couldn't care less. If God didn't, if it wasn't baseball or football, it didn't matter, okay? So God wasn't in the picture consciously. But indeed, as I look back at it, that was something saying to me when Ricky Bodel was there, stop, Gary, stop, and do something. This little kid needs you. The same with my dog, and same with I have other instances besides those, but those two stood out. So yeah, I think God, if you will, unseen therapist, is tapping us on the shoulder often. We don't always hear it. We don't always recognize that it's there. It's an opportunity. I'll give you an example. The other day, a few days ago, I was driving to town. I'm 7 miles away from a town, going to go shopping. And as I was driving, I saw somebody stopped on the side of the road. It looked like they were maybe changing a tire. I don't know what. And I thought to myself, well, hey, Gary, but I didn't stop. I didn't stop. I went by and I kicked myself for not stopping. So you don't, that could have been a great connection for that person as well as me. I could have helped them with a flat tire or whatever it was. It could have been nothing, whatever. But I didn't pay attention to the tap on the shoulder, if you will. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. So make the most of the opportunities.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, Virginia, you'll have to unmute yourself if you would, please.
No, I am unmuted.
You
I
mute yourself
am.
now.
I'm not mute.
You're muted? Oh, yeah.
I
yeah.
have just muted her. I've just muted her, Gary. No worries.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
Okay,
Yes,
No.
that
okay.
answered the question, and yeah, let's make the most of the.
Okay,
Oh.
great. Okay,
Bad
Monique.
Thank you.
Monique. Are you there?
Yes.
Hello. I remember you, Monique, from a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember you too, Gary.
You and your daughter there, I recall it. I don't know much about. I don't recall all the circumstances, but I remember you. So hello.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Hello. It's about my daughter actually that I'm asking this question. We're both self-employed, and at the moment she's working in a different country. Well, maybe that's out of scope, but she's experiencing a pretty bad burnout that shows up as insomnia. It's been going on for about a year. And she's wondering how she can get over that with that. Because, I mean, medical providers are recommending not doing anything to get over the burnout, but she has to make money. She can't go on unemployment insurance. I mean, there isn't any. So what would be your recommendation? In addition, of course, she still does EFT to get over this burnout and have, being obliged to work at the same time and earn a living.
Well, to me, and the other ladies may have a different take on this, but this is an important question. But the first thing that comes to my mind, Monique, is that the burnout has a cause.
Yes.
You've got to find the cause first. Now, where is the cause? Well, that takes a little examination quite often to go find it. Could be a number of places. But it could be something in her job. I'm making this up, okay, to give you ideas. Something in her job she doesn't like doing. There's a conflict. I don't like the ethics of it. I don't like what I have to do. I don't like my boss. There is something about that doesn't let her creative juices flow. If she has a flow in what she's doing, nobody burns out if you're really enjoying what you're doing.
Well, I've asked her that question, and she said she enjoys it because she's doing EFT and other modalities with clients. But it's the stress of having to make money and pay all her bills. If she perceives that the money's not coming in or she doesn't have enough clients.
Okay, well, there's a conflict right there. What she's doing doesn't pay enough. She's got other obligations and so on. And behind that is probably something else occurred back in childhood. We don't have time to go into all of that here, but you need to look for a cause, but you just related a conflict. So with that, it's a conflict in my view. causes the burnout. Something is conflicting with, and you're relating it to money. Okay.
So that's what she told me. She said that she likes her job and she made a lot of money in the past with this same job, selling courses and whatnot. It's all online, some in person as well.
But she's not selling as many now, and therefore not making as
Well,
much
I
money.
guess, that's changed somehow. It could be energetically, or it could be, a lot in the online world has also changed, but I guess all of that is probably energetic, because you could be a hermit and still attract people who come to your residence in the woods.
Well, from what you say, just from what you say, I'm seeing that she was making a lot of money. Everything was great. It flowed well. That's what I'm hearing. And then something has changed. She's not making as many sales. That says to me, well, maybe she doesn't like the courses have changed and she doesn't believe in them as much. Or, as you say, competition and so on. I have to guess, Monique, because this is the kind of thing that would take an hour or two session to really get to it.
Okay, well,
Could
maybe.
could I add something, please?
Please.
So, in the book that Gary and I wrote together in EFT from A to Z, which is you can see behind Gary, and I'll put it in the chat. There's a whole chapter on how to work on burnout with EFT. So, maybe that's a good idea to have a look at that whole chapter to see how what the causes are and how to work on it with EFT. That might help.
Yep. Just for there is the book. Okay.
Yes.
EFT from A to Z.
Reminding us. I haven't bought it yet, but I certainly will now that you've reminded me. And I'm sure there are wonderful things in there.
Okay.
I have a thought.
Yeah, please.
I worked with someone on something very similar, Monique. The person was burned out. They were doing something and they had made a lot of money at one point, and then all of a sudden they weren't making much money, and they really liked what they were doing though. And so we started out thinking, oh, okay, it must be you have money issues or financial worries or stress or limits or something. And then all of a sudden it was like this huge aha. What you're doing is good, but we're trying to stay with it and make it be profitable. Instead, we realized that we needed to repackage it. It was the universe saying, we like what you're doing, but you need to do it a little differently. You need to offer it a little differently. And so we are shrinking up the financial success to force you to look at this and to see what you need to do differently instead of pounding away at financial limitations. That really wasn't the problem. The problem was,
makes sense, Sherry. Yeah.
Yeah, does that make sense? It's
so.
time to move to a course. It was the way it was supposed to be. She needed that experience, so it was very profitable. But now she needs to make maybe a slight course correction, if not a big one. I don't know. But that would be what to look at. And when she did that, the money picked back up again. It was like the universe said, now you're on the right course. So have a look there.
I will. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay. If you would mute yourself, if you can do that.
Okay.
Okay. So, Kristen Godfrey. Oops.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi. So you were talking about being good to people. And I've been told that I have no boundaries. And actually, I do exhaust myself somehow. And I'm wondering if you could talk about placing boundaries or
Boundaries in what regard? Can you be more specific than
Yeah,
that?
I tend to flow out towards other people and not take care of myself. Like if somebody needs something, I'll take care of it as much as I can. But then I exhaust myself or I deplete myself. And people say, well, you don't have any boundaries. You need to form boundaries. And
Well,
that's kind of a funny idea for me, but I just,
I'm not hearing boundaries somehow in that. I'm hearing, and that's my first blush at what you say. Okay, so that's the
yeah,
first thing. I could be right, I could be wrong. That's it, but I'll give it to you. I'm hearing somebody um, that needs feedback from other people um, to the needs it so badly that taking care of oneself um, is way in the background.
yeah,
Did I say it right?
yep,
Okay. Well, that maybe you could call that boundaries, but that again has a cause. So somewhere back there, I also hear the possibility that there is some need. This is really way out there, Kristen. Okay, there is some need to punish yourself. Oh, I'm going to do all these good things, good things, good things, good things, uh, and then I got to pay for it.
yeah.
And that's okay because I enjoy being a victim. Now,
I don't enjoy being a victim, and I'm not a victim, but yeah, there's something there.
okay, well, that's all I can do with what you tell me. I don't know if the ladies have some comment or not.
Kristen, I can see a boundary issue here. Um, I don't know what your life path is, but some people are here to learn how to help other people without becoming a doormat. Helping people is a wonderful thing, but if you give of yourself too much to the exclusion of yourself, there won't be a Kristen healthy enough to be able to go on helping other people.
Well,
So
that's true.
you need to learn how, and there's a difference between helping people and enabling people. You may be here to learn to separate the wheat from the chaff. There are people that really do need help, they need your help. And then there are some people that only ask you for help because they don't feel like doing it themselves. And so the object of the game for your learning is to separate who really needs me and who doesn't. Because bottom line, if I'm not taking care of me and I'm not healthy enough, then I can't help anybody and I'm no service to anyone. So that's probably a path that you're on and may not recognize it. That's what it sounds to me. That's the intuition I get, is to make sure you continue helping people. That's a fine thing. It sounds like that's part of your path, but not so that you don't have anything left. That's not a good thing. And so you would have to set a boundary where, you know what, somebody asks me for help. Normally I just say yes, but now I'm going to have to be really kind of picky and look for who really needs the help, who doesn't. And I may have to say no uh, for your own benefit so that you can keep on helping people.
Yeah, I find that helping people, they turn on me. They can
Well,
turn really mean.
okay. Well, there's a reason for that too.
Yeah, what is that?
I've had that happen. I was helping somebody who didn't have any money, didn't have a place to live, and I said, "Well, I have a roof over my head. You know, come live with me. I can
Yeah,
pay the expenses." And here I thought they'd be so happy and that they would treat me well, and instead, I got treated very badly.
yeah,
And I sat him down and I said, what's going on here? I mean, I'm not expecting you to roll out the red carpet when I walk in the door, you know. it would be nice if you helped out a little bit, take out the trash. You know, you are living here rent free. And he said, I'll tell you what it is. And he said, every day that I see you go to work and you earn money and you've got this roof over your head and you can buy the food and you have a car, when I look at you every day, I see the person that I am not and should be. And I am angry at myself because I can't be independent like you, at least not at the moment. And so, because you are the reminder of what it is that I'm not, I take out my anger on you. I project it onto you. And I said, well, that's wonderful. That does explain everything. And now stop. And now cut it out. Now that you know what you're doing, don't do it. And he did. When he realized that he was taking out his own insecurities, his own upset, he was projecting it onto me because I was the person that reminded him of what he should be doing and wasn't. Once he realized it, he stopped it and he became more helpful and nicer to me. So that could be what's going on there.
Yeah, it could be. That's a thought that I've never had before.
You know, it's actually an opportunity when somebody's in that situation and they're mad at you and whatever. Usually they're not mad at you, although it appears that way. They're usually mad at themselves and they're projecting it out. Something is going on with them and they choose you to project it out on. And that's an opportunity for you to get down with them like Sherry just did, you know, and really have this conversation and get to the bottom of it. It's good for them. It's good for you. So instead of saying they turn on me, so go view it perhaps as an opportunity.
That's a very good suggestion.
Okay, anything else?
No, I think I have lots to think about. Thank you both.
Okay. Sutar,
Hi, Gary.
how did you get unmuted?
I unmuted myself.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've done the webinars and I forgot to, okay. All right. I understand now. Next. Okay. Very good. What's your topic? What's your question?
Okay. So basically, how does shame relate to self-image? And I
How
want
do what?
how does shame relate to self-image?
How does shame relate to
Yeah.
self-image?
And I want to
Okay.
give you kind of a scenario because when you were talking about your dog and taking that and talking with the young boy, you know, you weren't trying to be loving, you were just being loving. And that was the reward, that was the gift, you know. And I do feel like the times when I'm just being rather than trying, you know, are the most rewarding times I have. I go back I remember the 5-year-old in me. I realized this a few years ago. I still remember being 5 years old and some things that happened and all. And I remember making a decision that I think still runs me when things get crazy, which my son died, and I've got another guy who's like a son to me, who's for 10 years, who's now in ICE lockup for no reason, the immigration lockup. So basically, I'm dealing with a lot of grief and sorrow and sadness right now. But basically, the thing about shame relating to self-image, when I was 5, I said, based on something that happened in my family, that there must be something wrong with me or they wouldn't treat me this way. Maybe if I'm good and I help them and I'm good, they'll take care of me and they won't make me leave. So that was a 5-year-old speaking, but that one still shows up, not a lot, but basically. And I remember in my 20s and 30s even thinking, you know, if I felt self-image or starting to feel a low self-image, I would do the right thing, but for the wrong reason. I would basically either reach out to somebody else or do something nice for somebody else. And that was, you know, that wasn't a selfless act. That was to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
So all those things kind of tie together, but there is still that, there's some things that, very complicated things with my son's death in terms of in our relationship that basically, I've made it mean something about me in terms of this wouldn't have happened. There must be something wrong with me, or this wouldn't have happened, and this wouldn't be happening type of thing. So I still have that some way, even though I've worked on it some. So how does shame relate to self-image, though? That's the question.
Well, the thing I pick out of what you were saying, um, I had the words a minute ago. You just said them a minute ago. The same something about you. Say that again.
Um, what I said when I was 5 years old?
Yeah.
Okay. There must be something wrong with me that
Yes.
wouldn't be
Yes.
happening.
Yes. Yes. There must be something wrong with me. Well, again, I don't know your whole life history. I just tell you what comes up for me. The first thing that I would talk with must be something wrong with me. There must be something wrong with me reflects, I'm thinking, um, the cultural ideals that I talked about early on in this webinar, where you're trying to match up to something else or something. So there must be something. I didn't match up to some ideal. There must be something wrong with me because I didn't match up to some ideal. I don't know if that rings a bell for you or not, but I'm hearing that.
I wasn't, well, and two, it would have been terrifying for me to think there must be something wrong with them, my parents, I think at 5.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of rings, the other kind of hits, but the thought of thinking my parents, there was something wrong with them at 5 would have been, so I kind of idealized my parents. And it
Well,
was
yeah.
very much a family where looking good was the way to be.
Okay. Well, that's an ideal out there put together by the culture, and you don't want to conflict with that ideal. You used the word terrifying. So that ideal was you were trying to live up to an ideal. That's what I'm hearing anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's an interesting perspective, um, because you were saying your parents wanted to put out this big facade, so to speak, this big image of ourselves as a family, and see how wonderful we are. That's also trying to live up to an ideal family. Look at us, we're an ideal family. Um, I don't know. Sherry or Gabrielle, do you have anything?
Yes, I
Well,
do.
go ahead.
Sherry, go ahead. Go ahead. You first.
Okay. Yeah, the shame figure in on low self-esteem? It certainly does. Shame, in my reading studying, is probably the lowest emotion on the scale of emotions. Right above it is guilt. There's nothing that does more damage to us than shame. So does that play a part in your how you feel about yourself? Yes, it certainly does. What comes to me in what little I've heard, as Gary says, we don't know your life story, but when you talk about at age 5, you came to this conclusion. And I think Gabrielle would agree before age 7, I think it is, our conscious filters aren't working. And so we take in uh, information and we make conclusions about things that just aren't true. There has never been anything wrong with your God created self, and there never will be. However, if you came to that conclusion, there must be something wrong with me because they're not treating me very well. That's something you made as a 5-year-old. Then in life, I think you said there's complications with around the death of your son, and you still are thinking there's something wrong with me. That would be life bringing you people and situations to tempt you to think there's something wrong with me, in the hopes that you will finally look at it. It's been going on since age 5. You're attracting these things to help you to finally say, you know what, I'm older, I'm more experienced, I'm wiser. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. And maybe it's time that I look at these situations that keep happening and start to resolve them and get that there's something wrong with me thought out of your mind. And that would definitely raise self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. So I think that's just a cry from the universe. If something's unresolved, it's going to keep showing up in different experiences, different ways, to say what you're saying now. Hey, I need to look at this and get it resolved, because that's not the truth, Sue. There isn't anything wrong with you. Certainly not when you're 5. I mean, what could you have done? I mean, really, at age 5, did you knock over a convenience store? Uh, you know, you didn't do anything wrong. How wrong can it go? But yet you came to that conclusion, which a 5-year-old might, but we're going to forgive ourselves for the things we think at age 5 and work on it and get that handled. I know Gabrielle has much more input for you.
Thank you, Sherry.
So yes, I just want to point out, so if you want to, because you want to use EFT to resolve this, and to do that, you need to make a list of very specific situations from your childhood, very specific moments where you thought there must be something wrong with me. Make a list of very specific situations, that the little moments where you think this thought are relevant, because there must be something wrong with me points to your negative core belief. Could be I'm not worth it, or could be I'm not good enough, but it's tied into your negative core belief. I think I caught you saying I did some work on it, but here's the thing, group. If we want to resolve a very important negative limiting belief, you have to do quite a bit of work. You have to do a fair amount of specific moments from your childhood. You have to do a fair amount of specific moments during your life up and until now, today. So I would advise you to make a list and be very, alert to situations in your present life where you think there must be something wrong with me, or where you are ashamed of something. Write them down, work on them specifically. Find make lists. This is the classical personal peace procedure from the tapping tutorial. Only if you are very alert to the specific moments you think this thought and feel this shame in your life now, and then work back. So what are other moments? And you probably have to do a bunch around probably your son, around other people, at least between 5 and 15 to 20 situations per type of situation. So we're talking about completely neutralizing at least 30, 40, or 50 very specific moments if you really want to work on this lifelong limiting belief of there's something wrong with me. Does that make sense, Sue?
Yeah. There's something wrong with me, or this wouldn't be happening. So it puts myself in the God position. I can see what you're saying there, because then anytime anything goes wrong, there's something wrong with me. It's like a loop.
Well, but and the only way, group, to change limiting beliefs is to neutralize the situations that reinforce that limiting belief. So you have to neutralize the specific situations that absolutely reinforces and maintain that limiting belief. And you need to do a lot of them. So make a list of all these situations where there must be something wrong with me. Plays a role. That's where I would start.
Okay. Yeah, this hasn't come up in a long while, but it's a big one. And right now it's really, I think with the grief, it's come up to heal for sure.
Yes. Okay. So it needs some attention. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to mute yourself? Okay, there we go. Janet B.
Hi, Gary.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
It's been great.
Well, nice giggles. You're a happy person. Got to hear it.
So my problem is I've noticed, and this has been going on for a long time, so it's kind of a struggle sometimes to meditate or get in a healing place. I have used optimal EFT at times and had some nice results. But I do notice that when I go to do like a meditation or a healing session, I find I drift off to sleep. And I've talked to someone about it at one point, and they said, well, yeah, it's your ego trying to keep you from healing. So I'm not sure if that's the case, or um, I don't sleep that great at night, but I sleep better than I used to. So I've been a little more energetic, but I still find myself wanting to just, kind of drift off. I do like drifting off as far as uh, being at peace, that kind of thing, but it doesn't provide much healing. So I'm kind of curious.
So as I hear it, you want to be a perfect meditator. Is that right?
Well, I'd like to be better at it. I'm really lousy at meditating. That trying to listen to my breathing and clear my mind, I definitely it's like an invitation to have a nap for me.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how many times. Well, I do a number of the lessons in A Course in Miracles, and many of those have a meditation involved in them. And I can't tell you how many times I've drifted off to sleep. Okay, try as I may. I'm getting better at it. It takes practice and so on. Um, but I know Sherry is a good meditator, and she's probably better, and Gabrielle maybe too, but she's probably better equipped to handle this question than I am. Go ahead, Sherry.
All right. Well, Janet, congratulations for endeavoring to meditate. I can remember my early days. I was, as you say, a lousy meditator. Uh, I was so, I just couldn't get into that quiet. Everything disrupted me. And I realized I am a beginning meditator and I just need to hang in there with it. And I did it every day. And I think at some point I switched to meditating twice a day. And I don't think my ego gave up in trying to disrupt me, but somehow or other, I don't know if it had better things to do or if I was more practiced at it, but I could stay quiet, not 100%. If you're looking for 100% quiet, I don't know that you're ever going to
Yeah,
achieve that. I
mine too.
haven't. But what we learn is that we get quiet and you may have some interfering thoughts. Instead of fighting them and instead of saying, I'm a lousy meditator, here comes these disruptive thoughts, instead of going there, just let them kind of go in one ear, out the other. It'll burn off eventually, and just stay in that quiet place and don't fight the disruptive thoughts. The Course would say if you fight it, you're giving the ego more power than it really has.
Right.
And so ignore it as best you can. So that's my best advice on that. My other advice is don't tell people I'm a lousy meditator, because if you put that thought out there, guess what comes back? I am a lousy meditator. So, just put out, hey, I haven't yet gotten the hang of it really well. It sounds like you haven't done this every day for years, like I have. This takes practice, folks.
Is it? I do find too, though, that even when I've done optimal EFT, when I'm able actually to, receive the unseen therapist's healing, basically, like I said, I've had some really good results. But I even notice when I'm trying to go into the space of love, like one of the things I need to do to get to a happy place, because you can't just say, hey, optimal therapist, come to me. It states that you have to get into a kind of a loving space before you ask her to come in, or him.
Yeah.
And even when I've been doing that, my loving space is when I think of my dog Gizmo. For some reason, that dog is my touchstone to love. When I worked with a therapist, even, and I said, I can't feel love right now. It's like, not, and she'll go, think of Gizmo. And I'll be like, oh, okay. And I go right to love. When I've done that, even in my sessions with the unseen therapist, when I start the session, I'll go to that loving place, and it's like I drift off. I mean, it's quick, it's, so I get like, you didn't even ask her, what you wanted help with. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's really weird to me to go into this loving space and just be all of a sudden you're unconscious and then you wake up. That's
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
Well,
so you think of Gizmo and then you've nodded off after that?
well, I think of Gizmo and the
Yeah.
love comes, the happiness, the good feeling comes,
Yeah.
and I kind of am basking in it a little bit, for the moment. And the next thing
Yeah.
I know, I'm conscious.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, does that happen every time or just sometimes?
often enough. It's very, to me, it's a little weird. That's one of the reasons it came up. Like when he asked, does anybody have any questions? I'm like, oh, good time to ask this because it's getting, it's gotten a little weird to me that I would keep. And that's why I'm even wondering, is that my ego interfering? It's like, uh-oh, she's going to get healing. Let's mess this up.
Well, it could be your ego. The ego doesn't want you to meditate. It doesn't want you to study spiritual principles, doesn't want you to do EFT and clear away anything that's going to clear it out for you to be able to meditate. Do you have anything, or do you have any fears of going into that quiet space? If so, you'd want to work on that. But have you been meditating for a long time, Janet? Can you?
No, I actually have kind of given up pretty much. And I noticed, like I said, when I started trying to learning to do the optimal EFT, and then it started happening even through that. I kind of figured, well, this is because the meditating I sort of gave up on because it was so frequent that I'd fall asleep that it got ridiculous.
Do
And I've
you?
been to classes on meditation, different kinds of meditation. What is that one that was so popular back in the day? I can't think of what it's called, but where the guy was coming over from India and teaching classes on it. Transcendental, I think it was called
All right,
Transcendental.
Janet, we're not going to that.
That's fine.
No. I'm just laughing. When you mentioned all these different ways to meditate, the ego will take something very simple and complicates it. So that's why
Really?
I wasn't laughing at you by any means.
No, no, no.
It was just we've now thought of so many different ways to meditate that we can't meditate at all. Um, I'm just thinking about what we are taught, what highest guidance teaches me for meditation. Are you sitting up or are you laying down?
Usually when I'm doing the optimal EFT, I am laying down.
All right, sit up. There you go.
Okay.
You want to sit up. Course in Miracles says you don't want to be extremely uncomfortable by any means, but you want to be slightly uncomfortable. So sit in a chair, sit straight up. If you lay down, you probably will go to sleep. So sit up, close your eyes, whether you're doing optimal EFT, you're doing meditation, go into that loving space. And it'll be, I don't know, for me it is. It's hard for me to go to sleep sitting up, but for some people they can sleep on a plane sitting up. I can't do that, but so some people can. But anyway, sit up, just close your eyes, go into a loving space. For me, it took a while to calm down and to get into that quiet. And so I started just for me. I'm not suggesting this. I did some Course in Miracles affirmations. I did them for so many years. I memorized about 52 of them. And now, as a regular course, to get myself in a very quiet, loving space, I go through those affirmations, and when I'm done, I'm there. I'm in a real quiet place, and I go in. And I'm not saying I don't have an ego thought that passes through, like, gee, you should be doing your laundry right now instead of meditating. I may hear that, but I totally ignore it, which is what we're advised to do in the course. Let those thoughts just pass on through. Don't pay them any mind. And if you feel a little uncomfortable, just sit there for another couple of minutes and see if it doesn't, all that chatter, see if it doesn't burn off. And if it doesn't, then you're done. Don't force it. You're done for the moment. Try another time during the day or go outside, change where you're at, and then just keep it up. So it's worth it. You mentioned you had given it up. You were doing it. I'm thrilled that you're back into it. It is worth doing, and follow what I just said. It's not real fancy. You don't have to and sit. When I say sit in a chair, I don't mean sit with arms folded and legs folded. As my teacher would laugh, she'd say, "I don't know why they teach you to sit in a pretzel position with your limbs all tangled up." You want to let that energy be able to flow through you and down your legs and out your feet. So just sit, hands on your lap, both legs, don't cross your leg. Sit in a very open, unpretzeled position, if you will, and get quiet. If a disturbing thought comes through, let it go through. And if there's just too much disruption, okay, so you gave it a shot, try it again. And that's the best advice I have for you. And keep doing it every day, like brushing your teeth. If I don't meditate, I'm like, something's wrong here. What happened? What did I not do? I mean, I do it so much, but I will tell you, Janet, just because you fall asleep, that may be because you're laying down. But if you're sitting up and you do this and you go into the loving moment and you fall asleep, recently I was doing some lengthy meditations. I was doing some guided meditations. And I did one, we were blessing all the energy centers and center 1, 2, 3. I remembered hearing we're in center 7. And the next thing I knew, my head was down on my chest. I looked up, the guided meditation was over with. And I don't remember nothing about how it ended. I was gone. Do I think it was my ego? No, I don't. I think, and I don't even think I was tired. I think maybe spirit was working at me, with me at some level, and maybe took me out or did something. So we don't want to automatically go to, well, I'm a terrible meditator, on top of everything else. I can't even meditate. I'm a lousy meditator. That ego loves that. Don't go there. Don't give it that.
Okay.
Just let happen whatever's gonna happen.
Okay.
And if you go to sleep, maybe your body needed some sleep, and so let it sleep. But don't beat yourself over the head. That's the last thing you want to do. That's all ego. You don't want to go there.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you.
I've talked
okay.
too long. I'm sorry. I hope you got something from that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Can I
Okay.
quickly chime in?
Sure.
Can I? Yeah. So just for practical purposes, if you do optimal EFT, you can also shorten the period that you meditate, because it's a circular process. You relive the moment, you're agitated, do the meditation. Do a short meditation. Try 45 seconds or 1 minute. The other thing that you might want to try, I mean, sitting up, yes, 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 yes. And if that doesn't work, you can also do a standing meditation, or even walking. Walk in the garden while you meditate. The other alternative, Janet, would be to just keep your eyes open, focus on one point, and do the meditation with your eyes open, if that helps you not fall asleep. I mean, you reach your loving state, but if you keep your eyes open, you might not fall asleep. So there's different ways to either shorten or change position, or do a few different variations to see what works best for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Right.
Okay, Janet, would you mute yourself, please? We have one more. We're running out of time, but let's talk to Misha, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. I have a thought. The person who had brought up the question of giving and giving and giving, and then sometimes people turning on her.
Yeah.
It brought up memories that many times years ago, I would give unendingly, and sometimes people would I don't want to call it quite turn on me, but would get upset. And what I came to find was that I had started to think that I knew better, that I knew what was right for the person. And that had entered into it. And the reaction wasn't good, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
a
inserted my belief about
Yeah.
what I thought was best rather than just the pure helping.
that's an easy trap to fall into. You know, we all realize we all have our opinions, and one of the things that tends to be in the human equation is that we like to be right. We like to be right. I know what's wrong with you, so therefore, and our own ego tends to think that we're right. Whether we are or not is another story, but we do that. Was there more to your thought?
I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys. Whoops, sorry. That'll do it for today. 2 weeks from now, here we go again. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.